You ever notice how betrayal doesn't come crashing through the door like a SWAT team? Nah, it walks in quiet, smiling, wearing your favorite perfume, and humming to a song you played on your wedding night. That's how it began with Claire. Tuesday, 6:42 p.m. I remember because the microwave had just beeped and my lasagna was hotter than the surface of Mercury. I was still in my work shirt, no tie, sleeves rolled, and Claire waltzed in like nothing in the world could touch her. Hair curled, heels clicking, eyes bright, too bright. "You're home early," I said, poking at my dinner like it had done something wrong. She smiled that tight-lipped smile, the kind that says, "Don't ask questions." "Client canceled," she said, tossing her bag on the counter. "So I figured I'd come home and surprise you." Oh, it was a surprise, all right. Like getting tackled by a birthday clown who's also robbing your house. Now, I'll be honest, at that point, I didn't know she was cheating. Not yet. But I knew something was off. You don't spend 10 years with someone and miss the switch. When a woman starts laughing more at her phone than at your jokes, something's brewing. And when she starts dressing like every day's prom night, but kisses you like you're her accountant, you take notes. So I started collecting them. Not the messy, paranoid kind. I didn't snoop through drawers or install spy apps. I just watched, took mental screenshots, observed, like the night she left her phone face down, twice. Or when she slipped and called me babe, like she was rehearsing it. 3 days later, I found her car parked outside a steakhouse across town. She told me she had a conference call at 8 p.m. Funny. I don't know many client calls that require heels, a backless dress, and a bottle of Merlot. From a distance, I saw her through the window, twirling pasta and twirling her hair. Across from her, a guy with the kind of face that always finds a mirror. I didn't burst in, didn't yell, didn't smash a plate. I just stood across the street with a to-go coffee and watched her lean forward and laugh like I hadn't seen her do in months. That's when the shift happened. See, I'm not the screaming type. I'm the silent ledger type. I don't confront until I've done the math, double-checked the receipts, and built a spreadsheet with bulletproof formulas. I'm not reactive. I'm strategic. So I went home that night and backed up every photo, every voicemail, every love you text. Not because I planned on using them, but because I needed a foundation. And it started shaking the minute I realized I was married to a woman who could lie with her whole face smiling. Later that night, Claire came home smelling like wine and excuses. Traffic was terrible, she sighed, tossing her heels. Client was a nightmare. I looked at her. Really looked. The lipstick was different. Her earrings were new. She was glowing like a woman who'd just remembered what butterflies felt like. "You hungry?" she asked. I shook my head. Already ate. And just like that, I filed the moment away. Page 1.so. Here's where things start getting curated. About a week after the steakhouse incident, Claire hit me with this line. "Hey babe, my friend Jordan from work wants to have dinner. You should come. He's dying to meet you." Now let's pause here. A man named Jordan, from work, dying to meet me. Her allegedly dull, spreadsheet-loving husband who she'd barely made eye contact with in 3 days. Suspicious? Only slightly less subtle than a shovel to the head. Still, I said yes, with a smile. "Oh, cool," I said, sipping coffee. Looking forward to it. Because if there's one thing you learn when you're married to a liar, it's this. The best place to catch a performance is in the front row. We agreed to meet at Slate, one of those pretentious spots with reclaimed wood menus and $18 side salads. She wore red. I wore calm. And there he was when we arrived, Jordan. Hair slicked, blazer sharp, smile wide. The kind of guy who uses the word synergy without irony. "Hey, you must be Marcus," he said, shaking my hand like we weren't about to play psychological chess over scallops. "Claire's told me so much about you." I smiled back. "Yeah? I'm sure she left out all the boring parts." We sat. We ordered. We clinked glasses. Claire laughed a little too often. Jordan complimented her a little too much. I stayed quiet. Took mental notes like I was preparing for a trial. And then came the moment, the tell. "Every liar has one," Jordan said. "Claire's always going on about how thoughtful you are. You still make her coffee every morning, right?" Claire's fork stopped. Just for a second. A beat too long. Because no, I hadn't made her coffee in weeks. Ever since she started sleeping with her phone under her pillow and calling me by pet names like she was filling a quota. "Yeah," she said quickly, recovering. "He's the sweetest." But Jordan had already failed the test. "You don't mention details you weren't supposed to know." Rookie mistake. We made it through dinner without bloodshed. But as we walked to the car, she grabbed my arm and said, "Wasn't he great?" "Charming," I replied. Then I added, "So, how long has Jordan been more than just a friend?" She froze, eyes wide, caught between instinct and strategy. "What are you talking about?" she asked, too casually. "Just curious," I said. "Because when you lie, your pupils dilate. And when he talks, yours were the size of dinner plates." She laughed, forced. "You're being ridiculous." "Maybe," I said, unlocking the car. "But even ridiculous things leave patterns. Like a new contact saved under the name Jess, who texts you at midnight asking what you're wearing." She got in, slammed the door, said nothing the whole ride home. But that was fine. Silence has always been my favorite confession. That night, she went to bed early, claimed a migraine. I stayed up, reviewed bank statements, location data, calendar entries. You'd be surprised what a person leaves behind when they think you're too distracted to look. Turns out, Claire had a whole second life. One she maintained with corporate receipts and gym class excuses. But the real kicker? Jordan wasn't the only one. And just like that, the game changed. This wasn't about heartbreak anymore. This was war. You ever find something so ridiculous, so brazen, so insulting that you don't even get mad right away? You just sit there, quiet, staring, like your brain needs a few extra minutes to download the full absurdity. That was me. Thursday night, sitting on our couch with a thumb drive labeled Taxes 2021. Guess what was not on it? Spoiler alert, not a single deduction. But you know what was? Videos, photos, screenshots. See, Claire must have thought she was slick, naming her secret stash after something I'd never touch. She knew I avoided tax season like gluten. But the universe has a sense of humor, and I was digging through our shared drawer for an old warranty when I found the drive, tossed behind expired receipts, and an unopened bottle of B12 vitamins I never asked for. And I almost didn't open it. I almost respected her privacy. Almost. But curiosity beat nostalgia, and in the span of 10 seconds, I went from husband to audience. The first video? Claire, on some rooftop bar, smiling at someone behind the camera. A man, laughing, saying something about next time, no rings. The camera shakes, then zooms in. On her, biting her lip in a way I hadn't seen in years. The second video? A beach. Same guy, Claire again, in a bikini she swore didn't fit anymore. They weren't even hiding. Holding hands like teenagers, tossing wine into plastic cups like the whole world was just background noise. The kicker? The timestamp was from our anniversary weekend. The one she said she had food poisoning during. I paused the video and stared at her frozen smile on the screen. It was weird. I didn't feel rage. Not yet. I just felt hollow, like someone had replaced the air in my lungs with cement. And then came the final straw. A folder labeled LOL. Because when your wife names a folder LOL, and it's not cat memes, you know something's about to ruin your night. Inside, screenshots, conversations. Her and Jordan. Her and a guy named Chase. Her and someone labeled just V. They weren't planning bank heists. They were planning weekends. Cover stories. Playlists. Claire, my Claire. The same woman who couldn't decide what to order at Applebee's without consulting a focus group, had been orchestrating an entire second life like it was a passion project. And here's the part that caught me sideways. She had ranked them. Actually ranked them. A little bullet point list titled, "The Pros and Cons of My Man." Like a high school debate sheet. Jordan, best smile. Dumb as bricks. V, mysterious. A bit cold. Good at surprises. Chase, great body. Zero ambition. Probably a sociopath. Marcus, reliable. Predictable. Won't leave unless pushed. You ever read your own name like it's a review of a vacuum cleaner? It's humbling. That's when the temperature dropped. Because see, I wasn't mad that she cheated. That would have been too easy. I was mad because she thought I was boring. Replaceable. An afterthought with a Netflix password. And that lit the match. Not the kind you throw. The kind you hide until it's time to burn everything down. Funny thing about being underestimated, it gives you options. Claire had no idea. While she was out there juggling her lineup like a part-time matchmaker with no moral compass, I was quietly building a new identity, not for me, but for her. An identity she didn't know she'd be wearing soon enough. It started the morning after I found her little LOL folder. I packed her favorite travel mug with extra strong coffee, kissed her forehead while she was half asleep, and said, Love you. Have a great day. She mumbled, you too, babe. Then went right back to sleep like she wasn't one LOL away from getting replaced by a shadow version of herself. I took the day off work. Told my assistant I had food poisoning, just like Claire did on our anniversary. Funny how contagious betrayal is. By noon, I had a burner phone, a new Gmail account, and a name that didn't exist, Vanessa Ford. Vanessa had taste, ambition, and a slightly vindictive streak. She also had a knack for reaching out to the kind of men who don't use their real names when checking into hotels. Using Claire's own digital trail, I built Vanessa out of scraps. I reverse searched every number she'd been texting, traced usernames, even set up a fake therapy group for women recovering from emotionally unavailable men. You'd be amazed how fast Jordan bit. I know how you feel. I typed as Vanessa. You give everything, and they just use you. He replied in 4 minutes. Exactly. You get it. Yes, Jordan. I get it. While Vanessa built rapport with Jordan and Chase, I set another trap. I created a website. Nothing fancy, just a sleek, minimal design with one page. Anonymous relationship reviews. Sound shady? That's because it was. But it worked. Using burner emails, I posted vague but spicy reviews under initials like CK and JP. Subtle, but enough to get Claire's mystery men paranoid. One post read, he says all the right things, but you'll find receipts in his glove box from 3 different women. Proceed with caution. I shared the site anonymously with Claire's entire group chat. The same group that had brunch reservations and loyalty to mimosas over morals. Within a day, screenshots were flying. Within 2, Jordan ghosted her. Claire came home Thursday night and slammed her purse on the kitchen island like it had personally betrayed her. You ever notice how fake people are lately? She snapped. I said, stirring spaghetti. Jordan's been weird. Like, distant. And then that creep Chase sent me this cryptic message asking if I was playing him too. Playing? What does that even mean? I shrugged. Weird. She poured wine like it owed her money and said, people get so dramatic over nothing. I stirred the pasta. Maybe they're just catching on. She paused. Looked up. Catching on to what? I smiled. Who you really are. She blinked, processing. Then she laughed. The kind of laugh people give when they're not sure if it's a joke or a trap. Are you okay? She asked, studying me. I kissed her cheek. Never better. That night, she went to bed early. I stayed up, finalizing phase 2. See, revenge isn't about shouting. It's not about throwing clothes on the lawn or dramatic breakups over speakerphone. Real revenge? It's quiet, surgical. It walks in wearing your old slippers, sips your coffee, and says, let's fix the gutters, while it's gutting your whole illusion. Phase 2 was paperwork. Over the past month, I'd slowly unknotted our finances, canceled joint subscriptions, opened my own credit line. I even moved half my savings into a private account under a business Claire didn't know I owned. I called it Clarity and Company, because naming your financial escape after the woman who lied to your face daily is just the kind of poetic nonsense I enjoy. Next came the will. Claire didn't know I had one, because people under 35 don't usually think about that stuff. But I did, and I revised it to leave everything, every penny, to a fictional scholarship fund I created for resilient spouses abandoned by narcissists. The tagline? Because some people marry storms. Now I had the accounts, the backup plans, the burner phone. All I needed was a finale. That came courtesy of her job. One of Claire's flings, Chase, the sociopath with the gym addiction, had a wife. I found her on Facebook. Real classy lady. PDA president. Bio said, blessed mama to 3 wild ones. So I blessed her with screenshots. No threats. No speech. Just a zipped file titled, you might deserve better. She replied an hour later. Who are you? I said, let's just say, I'm someone who used to fold her socks. Silence. Then, thank you. That was the final match. Friday night, Claire came home early. She looked tired. Tense. Her usual glow was dimmed like someone had unplugged the charger. Something wrong? I asked, pretending to clean the counter. Chase's wife found out, she whispered. She showed up to his office with a USB stick. I think someone's trying to sabotage me. I wiped down a spot that didn't need wiping. She squinted. You're awfully calm. I turned. Well, babe, you said you wanted excitement in your life. Isn't this exciting? She stared. What does that mean? I leaned in. It means the house is in my name. The mortgage is paid, and the guest room is ready for you until you figure things out. She blinked. You're kicking me out. I smiled. No, I'm giving you the choice to leave quietly or face me like a woman. And for the first time in weeks, she didn't have a comeback. You know that moment when a magician pulls the final card and the audience gasps, not because the trick worked, but because they missed it happening? That was Claire, standing in our kitchen, mouth slightly open, holding a wine glass she suddenly wasn't sure she deserved to touch. The queen of microaggressions, the goddess of half-truths, reduced to blinking in place like someone had unplugged her operating system. You're giving me the choice to leave? She repeated slowly. Yep. I poured myself a drink. Water. Ice cold. The kind of symbolic I didn't need to explain. And if I don't? She asked, arms folded now. Defensive posture, classic Claire. I took a sip. Then you'll stay here. In this house. With me. While I ignore you so thoroughly, you'll start thinking you're a ghost. Her eyes narrowed. You can't just freeze me out like that. Oh, Claire. I've been frozen for months. You're just now feeling the temperature drop. She sat down at the kitchen table without asking. Normally, she'd have gone straight upstairs, passive-aggressively not hungry, until I cracked and followed. But this time, she stayed. I didn't think you'd react like this, she said. Soft. Honest. Or at least trying to sound like it. That's because you thought I'd keep reacting like that guy, I said, pointing toward the hallway. The one who used to wait up for you. Who used to ask if you were okay when you came home smelling like vodka and lies. She winced. Just a little. Progress. I wasn't going to leave you, she said. Things got out of hand. Oh, you were always going to leave me, I replied, just not officially. You were going to stay married and emotionally exit. Slowly. Neatly. Like someone deleting emails they don't want to explain. She stayed quiet. I pulled a chair out and sat across from her, elbows on the table, voice calm. I know about the videos. The texts. The rankings. Her eyes flicked up, wide. You saw that? Claire, I said with a chuckle. I backed it up. There's a drive in my office labeled Honey-Do List. You're on it. Her face paled. You violated my privacy. You violated our vows, I said, now fully still. All I did was follow the trail of glitter you left like breadcrumbs. You didn't even cover your tracks, Claire. You handed me the map and offered to drive. I didn't mean to hurt you, she whispered. Then why did you do it with an audience? She blinked. What? Don't play dumb. The rooftop bar. The beach. The hotel. You left breadcrumbs because part of you wanted to get caught. You just thought I'd be too passive, too reliable, too. What was the word? I raised my eyebrows. She didn't answer. So I did. Predictable. That's what you wrote. That Marcus won't leave unless pushed. I didn't know you read that. Oh, I read it. Twice. Then I printed it and highlighted it like a college essay. You know what word I underlined. She didn't move. Unless. Claire rubbed her temples. So what now? You just drag me through shame and punishment for your own satisfaction. I leaned back. Nope. I let you punish yourself. You're already doing a great job. Look at you. Sitting in this kitchen like you've got a plan. Like you still control the narrative. She stood up. Pacing now. The wine forgotten. Okay, she said finally. Let's be real. You don't want a divorce. You just want leverage. No, Claire. I already filed. She froze. What? I reached into the drawer beside me and pulled out the manila envelope I'd placed there the night before. Neat. Stamped. Signed. Did it Monday, I said. Just after Chase's wife called me to say thank you. Claire's knees buckled a bit. She sat again. This time slower. Like gravity had finally remembered her. I wanted to tell you sooner, I added. But then you asked me to dinner with Jordan, and I figured, hey, might as well enjoy the free breadsticks. Her mouth opened, then shut. I already moved half the money, I continued. The lawyer's brilliant. Cost me more than I wanted, but less than I would have lost waiting around for you to love me again. And the house? She asked weakly. My name only, I said. You'd know that if you ever read the paperwork instead of taking selfies with your avocado toast. You really planned all this, she muttered. No, you did, I said. I just followed your lead. You left me with a blueprint, heartbreak, humiliation, and a list of all the men you liked better. All I had to do was decide whether I wanted revenge or resolution. She looked up at me. And what did you pick? I smiled. Both. We sat there in silence for a moment. Two actors at curtain call, waiting for the applause that wouldn't come. Where am I supposed to go? she asked finally. The guest room for now. After that, not my concern. I never thought you had this in you, she whispered. That's the problem, I said. You never thought. You assumed. Claire stood again, this time more composed. You're going to end up alone, Marcus. Cold. Isolated. I looked at her. Really looked. And I realized something. I was alone. Had been for a long time. But it wasn't cold. It wasn't bitter. It was quiet. And quiet, my friend? Quiet as peace. I'd rather be alone than lied to by someone who ranks her husbands like Yelp reviews, I said. She didn't respond. Just walked away slowly, heels clicking down the hallway like they were afraid to echo. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't follow to here's the funny thing about endings. People think they come with closure. A slam of the door. A gavel. One clean cut, and then the healing begins. But endings are greedy. They linger. They echo. And sometimes, they circle back. A week after I handed Claire that divorce envelope like a polite executioner, things got quiet. And not the peaceful kind. More like the calm you hear when you're deep underwater and you're not quite sure which way is up. Claire tried to act unfazed. She'd moved through the house like she still owned it, humming in the kitchen, scrolling her phone on the couch, always pretending the past hadn't just crashed through the windshield of her future. But I could see it. The chipped nail polish, the extra glass of wine, the fact that she hadn't posted a single filtered selfie in 5 days. For someone whose personality was 40% Instagram captions, that was practically a breakdown. One night, I walked into the kitchen and found her standing by the sink, staring out the window. She didn't turn around when I entered. Just said, "Do you think people can change?" I leaned against the counter. "Nope." She turned then. "Not even after everything falls apart." I shrugged. "People don't change. They adapt. You're adapting to losing your safety net, not growing a conscience." She blinked. That one stung. "Good. I didn't love them," she said quietly. "Didn't matter," I replied. She stared at me. "You're really going through with this, aren't you?" "Claire, this isn't a bluff. I already paid the lawyer. I've got a new lease starting next month. I'm not just leaving you. I'm replacing the entire script. You're not even angry anymore." "Oh, I'm still angry," I said. "I just finally figured out how to stop performing it for you." She didn't cry. Claire never cried when it mattered. But her lip did that little tremble thing. The one she used to use in arguments to make me feel guilty for catching her red-handed. This time, I didn't flinch. I just left her there, frozen in front of the kitchen window like a statue of her former self. A few days later, I came home from work and found a note on the table. One of those thick, pretentious note cards she bought in bulk during her stationery era. "Marcus, I'm sorry. For everything. If you ever decide you can forgive me, I'll be at the lake house." I left the key. Claire. The lake house. That place had been her little sanctuary. A family cabin 2 hours out. Technically owned by her uncle, but unofficially claimed by Claire after she painted one room and declared it mine. We'd spent weekends there before the storm, back when we still touched each other without flinching. I stared at the note for a full minute. Not because I believed her, but because something in me wanted to. And that scared the hell out of me. Because I wasn't looking for reconciliation. I was looking for the finish line. But instead of tossing the note like I should have, I folded it neatly and slid it into my wallet. Not as a gesture of hope. More like evidence in a cold case I hadn't closed yet. 3 days passed. I said nothing. She didn't text. Didn't call. Radio silence. Then, Saturday morning, I got a message from an unknown number. "I think you should know. Claire's not at the lake house alone." There was no name. Just a location pin. And you already know I clicked it. Not because I still loved her, but because curiosity is the last thread you cut, even after the heart's gone numb. 2 hours later, I was parked down the street from the lake house, hidden behind a line of pine trees that had probably witnessed more secrets than I ever would. I saw her car, and I saw his. Not Jordan, not Chase, someone else. A fresh face from the carousel, maybe. Or maybe just someone who hadn't made it into her little pros and cons list yet. I waited. 20 minutes later, the door opened, and Claire stepped out, laughing, hair tied up, no makeup, the same hoodie she used to steal from me. And behind her, the guy, tall, young, probably an artist. You could just smell the poor judgment on him. He leaned over, kissed her cheek, and carried a box into the trunk. Claire stood there, smiling, arms crossed, like the world had forgiven her. That's when I realized. The note wasn't an apology. It was a decoy. She never expected me to show up. The "if you forgive me" line? It was just her way of making sure she could disappear with dignity. She wanted me to think she was sad, reflective, alone. But she was never alone. Claire doesn't do alone. And that's when I knew the final card hadn't been played yet. Not by her. By me. I left without saying a word. Drove home. Called my lawyer. Adjusted the final terms of the divorce. Took back the olive branch I hadn't even offered. And then, I called Claire's uncle, the actual owner of the lake house. "Hey, Jim, just thought you should know. Claire's using the place. Not sure she told you." Pause. "She's with someone?" "Oh yeah," I said. "Guy looks like he models for vape pens. Thought you'd want to know before she brings strangers into your property." Jim thanked me, told me he'd handle it. And he would. That man didn't even let people wear shoes inside. By Monday, Claire was back. But this time, she didn't hum in the kitchen. She didn't scroll her phone. She moved through the house like someone waiting for a call that never came. "Jim banned me from the lake house," she said quietly, over her shoulder. "Really?" I said, pretending to scroll through emails. "That's surprising." He said someone told him I was entertaining guests. "Wow," I said. "Rude." She turned. "Did you call him?" I looked her dead in the eyes. "I don't talk to ghosts." And with that, she left the room. You want to know the reversal? It's not when the cheater gets caught. It's not when the loyal one files for divorce. It's when the person you underestimated becomes the one narrating your fall, and you don't even get aligned. If there's something oddly poetic about someone leaving a house they don't realize they were already evicted from emotionally months ago. Claire packed slowly, deliberately, like she wanted me to ask her to stay. Like she expected one last plea. One last Marcus, I'm sorry moment followed by some cliche about soulmates finding their way back to each other. But this wasn't a Nicholas Sparks novel. This was a clearance sale. And everything must go. "Do you want the photo albums?" she asked, holding up a box like it was full of ancient treasure. "No, but your parents are in." "Claire," I said, not looking up from my laptop. "Anything with your face in it goes with you." She stood there for a second too long, lips parting like she was going to say something profound. Instead, she shut the box and muttered, "You're really cold now." "No," I said. "I'm just finally room temperature." She left on a Thursday morning. No tears. No goodbye hug. Just 2 suitcases, a cardboard box of our stuff, and a list of mistakes she was still too proud to admit. I watched her drive away through the window, same as I'd watched her walk through that hotel lobby weeks ago, hand in hand with someone who wasn't me. But this time, I didn't feel gutted. I felt done. You don't mourn someone who buried you first. The silence was delicious. No fake apologies echoing through the hallway. No filtered photos of her new, clean girl era cluttering the bathroom counter. Just me, my coffee mug, and a Spotify playlist that didn't include moody breakup songs. You'd think the loneliness would have hit by now, but it didn't. What hit instead was clarity. I started doing all the things I'd put off when I was busy keeping a marriage alive on life support. I joined a boxing gym. Not for the anger. There wasn't much left, but for the control. You learn a lot about yourself when you're staring down a heavy bag that won't cheat, won't lie, won't smile in your face, and rank you second place. I upgraded the home office, repainted the bedroom, and took down that awful framed quote Claire bought at a craft fair that said, "Love is patient, love is kind." The irony of it used to make me flinch. Now it just made me laugh. I even went on a few dates. Nice women. Real conversations. No hidden agendas or burner phones. But I wasn't rushing anything. Because rebuilding isn't about replacing. It's about reclaiming. And I was just getting started. They always circle back. I was 3 weeks post-divorce when I got the first message. "Claire. Hey. Hope you're doing okay. Can we talk?" I stared at the screen. You'd think after everything, that line wouldn't land. But betrayal has a funny way of becoming a scar you can't help but touch. I didn't reply. 3 days later. "Claire. I know I hurt you. I made a mistake. I wasn't thinking straight. I miss us. Can we meet? Please?" I didn't respond to that one either. Then came the email. Long, exhausting. Littered with phrases like, "I lost myself," and "You were always the better one," and "I didn't realize what I had." But here's the kicker. She still never apologized for the specifics. She never named the men. Never acknowledged the betrayal as anything more than an emotional breakdown. As if months of deceit could be boiled down to an oopsie. That's when I knew she wasn't sorry. She was just alone. And it was about to get worse. Because remember Jordan? And Chase? And the other flings? Well, Turns out Claire had a habit of cycling through options faster than a Netflix show in its final season. And someone finally decided to make it public. One of her ex-flings, I won't name him, is already famous for all the wrong reasons, posted a detailed thread on a popular forum, airing out everything. Screenshots, voicemails, her rankings, even the lake house note. It went viral. By the end of the week, Claire had deleted every social account. She was trending, but not in the way she liked. People love a scandal, but they really love when the villain gets exposed in high definition. And me? I just watched the fire burn from the sidelines. No fuel, no comment, just peace. She showed up on my doorstep exactly 42 days after the divorce was finalized. Hair tied up, makeup free, a duffel bag on her shoulder, and that same practiced innocence in her eyes that used to make me feel weak. But not anymore. Marcus, she said, voice cracking. I have nowhere else to go. I opened the door. Slowly. She looked around the entryway like it still belonged to her. I just need a few nights to figure things out. I let the silence stretch. Then I said, you still think this house is the soft place you can land? She blinked. I just thought. You thought I'd always be the fallback. Her lip trembled. Please. So I stepped aside. Let her walk in. She set her bag down and turned to me like she was about to thank me. But I stopped her with one line. The guest room's already taken. She froze. What? That's right, I said. Her name's Leah. She teaches 3rd grade. She makes her own bread. And unlike you, she doesn't keep a scorecard. Claire stood there, mouth slightly open. I handed her the bag she'd just dropped. You can take that with you. But this was the final move, I said. The whole time you were playing chess, you forgot I was designing the board. She looked shattered. For the first time, not furious, not smug, just defeated. Where am I supposed to go? She whispered. I smiled. And I said the line I'd waited months to deliver. Anywhere but here. Then I shut the door. Soft. Final. Quiet. And for once, she was the one left outside.